We are here today with Mr. Manners, Mr. Chesley Manners, as part of our Intangible Cultural Heritage program, where we are trying to preserve our cultural heritage. And today, Mr. Manners, we are here to interview you to speak specifically about the prickly pear. I want you to tell me, about your knowledge. How did you get your knowledge about this prickly pear?
Okay, good afternoon to everyone. It's really a pleasure for me to share the knowledge that has been handed down to me. It would have come down from as far back as my great grandmother, Mary Weeks, who was a bush doctor, a village bush doctor. And persons used to come from all over the island. Some had stubborn sores, many complaints, and she was able to have many successful stories in terms of providing, remedies that would have helped to soothe their pain and help to heal some of the complaints that they had. Now, this information would have been passed down also through my grandmother, Miriam Manners, and also through my mother, Mary Manners. But I think of all the siblings, my mother would have had maybe the greater part of the knowledge because at an early age she used to go to the house of my grandmother, and then eventually she lived with her. I mean, with my great grandmother,
Okay.
and so she was able to first-hand experience what she did. She saw the patients come in, and she was able to look and see what kind of treatment she administered for the different complaints and so on. Okay, so it's information that has been handed down, from way back, my great grandmother.
Okay.
Yes.
First-hand information, you could
Yes.
say. All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
So, Mr. Manners, we realize and we recognize that a lot of our herbs,
Yes.
our natural herbs, they are being extinct
Yes.
for whatever reason, for housing, for
Yes.
road development, whatever.
Yes.
Um, do you see the prickly pear as being one of the endangered herbs, or do you see a way that we can preserve it?
Yes. I would say it is endangered. Why? Because way back when people were very close to the folk remedies and so on, this used to be in every household.
Right.
You go in every backyard and you could have
Yes,
found
yes,
this, right?
yes.
But since then, people don't really bother with it. So you find it here and there. And then another thing is construction for housing, infrastructural development. There were many areas in hard times, for example, where I now live, where you could have found the prickle pear growing. It likes to grow between stones and so on. We could find a little moisture. And, with all the clearing, land clearing and so on, for construction, we have lost. We have lost a lot of it.
Okay.
Okay?
So where do
Yes.
you normally get your prickly pear? You
Oh,
grow it yourself,
well,
or you have to go and harvest?
what I did, many of the bushes that I would have learned of, I would have experienced
Yeah.
over the years, I try to keep them.
Okay.
So I actually grow them myself. So I've never really lost the prickle pear. I always keep it. Okay, so I have one planted way down in the cut.
Okay.
A
All
huge
right.
tree. It's not a huge tree, yes.
Do you want to
Yes.
share with us, like for the benefit of our viewers, what are some of the things that you would use the prickly pear for? I know you mentioned sores, but
Yes.
I know there are many uses. Do you want to share some of those uses?
Yes, maybe if I can expand on the application for sores and so on. Now, it is a powerful healing treatment in the prickle pear for cuts, bruises, and burns. Somehow it tends to cleanse the blood, cleanse the pores, and free the system of bacteria and so on. And so what a lot of the older folks used to do is that they would cut the prickle pear, they would slice it, and they would take a piece of it,
Uh-huh.
just enough to cover the area
Yeah.
that is affected, and then sometimes they would roast it. And
Okay.
sometimes they say when you roast it, it tends to release some of the useful agents inside.
All right.
And then they would tie it on the area overnight. And then, and that will help the healing process.
Okay.
Now, additionally, sometimes if there's a thorn in the flesh, sometimes, you're walking barefooted and something get in your foot,
Yeah.
Granny would take a piece, she would roast it and tie it on the area overnight. And then in the morning she would just squeeze it and it comes right out.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
really
Okay. Right,
amazing.
right, yes,
Now
yes.
additionally, well, as many of us would know, that the prickle pear was part of Granny's treatment for the hair. I used to call it Granny's shampoo.
Right.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
So she would
Yes.
slice it down.
Yes.
If you get a nice thick leaf, she would
Yes.
slice it, and then along with the soap or whatever she has, she would just rub it in her hair. Wash her hair with it, and you get nice black
Yes.
healthy hair.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So and it also fights against dandruff, and
Okay.
also or other hair disorders.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, because it tend to fight against toxins and inflammation. Okay, many people have used it to cleanse the system.
All right.
Sometimes they would grate it, soak it in water, and they would drink the water, and that helped to purge. That helped to purge the system of inflammation.
Interested.
Yes,
Interested.
yes.
Right.
Also good for inflammation.
Right.
Some people use it for indigestion, even for hypertension.
Yes.
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 Okay. Now the prickle pear also has been used as part of our diet.
Yeah.
Okay. I know there's some person who would, wash the leaf, scrub it. Some would peel it, or if the leaf is very tender, they might even leave it the way it is.
Yes. Yes.
And they would strip it or shred it and season it, and that would be a part of the dish.
Okay.
I know. I think in Antigua they call what is it called? Cassie.
Cassie.
You prepare a cassie that they use with saltfish.
Yes, cassie.
Okay. But folks here would have used the the prickle pear in that way, as well. Okay. Now it is also good for ulcers, stomach ulcers, because the prickle pear, if you would realize, is very mild. It's very mild. It has a kind of soothing effect on the body, and it tends to help ulcers. So that have been used in that way, as well. Okay. Now, well, this is not the season for it, but normally the prickle pear would be a red fruit.
Yes.
You would have seen the red fruit,
Yes,
at the top. Now the red fruit, well, some persons call it sweet pear. It's like a nice little pear. Okay, but we can't see it now because it's not,
Right.
the season, and it's very, very sweet, and it contains a lot of fine black seeds, and actually those fine black seeds can grow, but nobody ever bothered to propagate it by that way. But the fine seeds can grow.
Grow.
But the seed, the fruit can be eaten just like that, as you eat a normal fruit, or it can be used to make a drink. Some persons, would grate it, strain it, make a drink, and you can add another fruit with it. Okay, make a nice drink.
Okay.
There's a name that the older folks used to call this drink. That it used to call it Miss Blight. They call it drink Miss Blighten. For whatever reason, not sure, but that was they call it drink Miss Blighten.
Okay,
Yes.
that's interesting.
And it used to be a Christmas drink because I think the prickle pear tend to have fruits around Christmas time.
Yes.
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 So you see all this abundance of red fruits.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. So you have a number of uses for the prickly pear.
Yes.
Besides it being an ornamental plant, it's
Yes.
medicinal, it's edible,
Yes.
it's the local shampoo.
Yes, definitely.
It's just one of those plants that you do not want to lose.
Definitely.
You do not want to
Yes.
lose it. We have to preserve it.
Yes.
But your knowledge of this herb,
Yes.
how do you plan to pass this on? Because you got it from your great grandmother to your grandmother to your
Yes.
mother to you.
Yes.
How do you intend to, get it down to the younger generation?
Yes. Well, what I've done over the years, there was one summer I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work on this project. I'm going to go around the island, beginning with what I have, and I'm going to take photos. I think I would take about 50 photos of all the plants that I know that we have been using, for medicine
Okay,
and so
right.
on. And then what I've done is that I've been to groups and so on, seniors, youngsters, and I've done PowerPoint presentation.
Yes.
We have the photo of the bushes and an explanation of how we used to use the
Okay.
bushes and so on. And things you may want to avoid. The knowledge is really sometimes a little give and take,
Yes.
because it's not really sometimes tested in the lab. But over the years, we would have tried them and they would have worked and so on.
Right.
And we can't really, sometimes dispute the knowledge
Right.
that has been passed on to us.
Yes.
But I try to do that. So, and to get the youngsters really, closer to their culture. Yes.
Yes. Do you find that the youngsters have an interest in learning about these?
Yeah, the interest is generated when we teach them, when we show them. Sometimes we say that the young people are not interested, but actually they are interested. But unless we pass it on and we teach them, right, they would never be able to show that interest. Okay. When my boys have colds, well, anyone in the family has cold. I sometimes go in the backyard there, I get some bushes and I boil them and I show them, right? And they love that. And they would come in the evening and they would say, Daddy, give us our tea when to go to sleep. You know, but what I would do, I would get about 5 bushes and I would add some lime and some honey and maybe a little of that white stuff that some of us would partake of, the hamon, right? A few drops of that, and I would add it and mix that, and it's very, I find it very effective.
Right,
Very
right,
effective.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Mr. Manners, it was such a pleasure,
Yes.
talking with you today, knowing so much more about the prickly pear, because
Yes.
some of us have some knowledge,
Yes.
and some of us, our knowledge will be limited.
Yes.
And each time you speak to another bush doctor,
Yes.
you get something
Additional
added.
information,
Yeah,
definitely.
yes,
Yes.
additional information.
Yes.
So it was such a pleasure speaking to you, and I just want to thank you for your time you spent with us, and to compliment you for what you are doing, and to tell you to continue what you are doing.
Thank you.
Right, and thank you very much for
Yes.
your time
Yes.
that you gave with us.
You are most welcome, and the pleasure has been mine. And I, applaud the efforts that you are making to preserve the culture.
Yes.
And I hope that your project will go from strength to strength.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Yes.